Friday, we talked a little bit about an update coming to World War II as of this week. So it was next week when we talked about it on Friday, but now that we are a day away from this update, we ended up actually getting a little bit of information talking about what we can expect from Sledgehammer today over on their official blog. This was what we were supposed to get on Friday, but they held it off until Monday so they could include more stuff directly talking about the event that is going to be at hand tomorrow. So that said, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about 9 things that are absolutely crucial to know tomorrow, some things that you really should look out for and may change a little bit about how we play the game overall. So before we jump into that though, I want to let you guys know about something that is kind of important if you guys are in the hardcore community. It'll definitely have some effect on you, but as you guys know, they added in Ricochet hardcore modes as a featured playlist this past week and then took it out, but now they're actually going to vote on what people want to see more, whether that be hardcore team killing or hardcore Ricochet in modes going forward for the hardcore playlist. So while they're trying to gather this data, it is over on Twitter, so I'll drop the link to the poll itself down there in the description below. Make sure you guys go check that out, make your votes count here for this, and while you're over on Twitter, a little plug, you guys can follow me if you guys want to stay up to date with everything in any capacity for Call of Duty. And also, I'd like to connect with you guys a little bit further, but regardless, let's just jump right back on topic here at this one. So again, today we ended up getting the blog post talking about the update coming tomorrow, so be aware of this. You're probably gonna need to download an entire update for this. It's not gonna be a playlist update or a hotfix that requires you to just restart your game. It's gonna be an actual full-blown patch. So the biggest thing overarching over this entire update is going to be a brand new operation or event within World War II. It's been a couple of weeks since we saw the Resistance event end, so it hasn't been that long at all. And this one, we don't have any ETA for how long it will last, but this is Operation Shamrock and Awe. So if you guys remember, same thing that we shared from last year with Modern Warfare Remastered. The big question with this is how long I think it will last, because once again, we talked about Domination XL being promised after this seasonal event for World War II, and that would really put it at the end of March as a possibility. So it might only be a 2-week thing here. It might be shorter compared to that of what we've already seen in terms of other events within World War II, but make sure you guys keep your eye out for that. We're gonna be getting a trailer tomorrow, they said. So again, you'll be able to see some of the content that we're being dropped in a lot of the other stuff we'll be talking about here in this video. But for the time being, a big event is coming tomorrow. Definitely excited to see how it will change World War II, hopefully for the better. But that said, that's number 1 out of the way. Let's start talking about the nitty-gritty stuff that we'll see changed on a more fundamental level of World War II. So the first thing is, once again, we're going to be promised weapons and uniforms and all that kind of stuff like we knew about for about a week now since last week's update for World War II. But the thing is we're going to get an increased number of weapons and premium content per update. Not just this update, but more updates moving forward. We're gonna be getting more stuff given to us as a result. So whether they are tied in each time with a seasonal event or some sort of event in particular, whatever update we end up getting, we're going to get more weapons than what we've seen previously and more other content as well. So ranged weapons, more cosmetic variants, themed uniforms, and they're really looking to double down on what all you can get as a player to customize your character and to give it something that makes your character stand out among the rest. That's one thing that admittedly I wasn't really a big fan of in the sense of customization within World War II. And granted, I don't want to make it so that you have a million things in the pool so that you have a very small chance of getting the things you actually want. But when you take a look at the uniforms, a lot of them are very much so similar to others. So it seems like there's kind of a much smaller degree to how much you can customize your character. Even if you have a different uniform than another player, it might still very much so resemble theirs. So seeing more content like this I think is good, but also on the flip side, it does have the potential to teeter on being too much that it dilutes the loot pool of possible items you can get and potentially want. So a little bit of playing with fire here, but hopefully they balance it out well. Third thing up on the list I want to talk about is actually one thing that will definitely be nice for players. They're going to be adding in more ways to earn weapons. So that is something that previously it's only been reserved for RNG, collections, and a special order that'll rotate in and out here with that. And they didn't really give all that much detail on how these are going to be offered, but hopefully it's going to be something that again is on the easier side and something that just takes a little bit of playtime to do instead of having to risk an arm and a leg or a massive amount of supply drops you've saved up over time. So again, while they're not very specific on it, they do say they're going to make more available via orders and contracts. So maybe we end up having a special contract fact, once again, like we've seen with the uniform and heroic weapon bribes, that sort of stuff, but for specific weapons and weapon variants that may swap out per day, every other day, whatever it may be. But again, more ways are going to be made available for this, so definitely a good sign, and I think a way to move in the right direction here with this. So fourth thing up on the list is they're actually going to be tampering with the duplicate rate a little bit with this, because a lot of people, really especially over the Resistance event, noticed they were getting a ton of duplicates, and myself being one of those in particular. I ended up getting probably about 100 Resistance supply drops over that course of 4 to 5 weeks. I didn't have as much time to play as I did within Winter Siege, so I ended up getting about 100 drops, and the number of duplicates that I got out of all of those across 2 live streams that we did to open 50 each or so, the number of duplicates was absolutely insane. So it's nice to see that they recognize the duplicate rate is way too high and it's going to be adjusted, so they're going to be lowering that duplicate rate, in which they're going to be trying to find that nice balance so that you don't get as many duplicates and also can still get new content with every drop. So definitely a nice, once again, step in the right direction, and I'm excited to see just how much it is lowered. The fifth thing deals a little bit with the rates of the rewards for categories. So that's going to be a little bit of a rebalancing issue as well, kind of on a more micro level compared to content that we've seen as of recently and how the collection system works overall. So for those of you guys that know how you ended up opening supply drops, you could chip away at collections and hopefully get those big ticket items out of the way, so that if you wanted to buy something via collections, you didn't really have to spend all that much in terms of Armory credits. But again, with recent events, it seemed like a lot of this was more so duplicates, and there weren't really all that many going across the board to chip away at specific different ones, and kind of varied rates on how things were received. Instead, they kind of either were duplicates once again, or they didn't focus too much on clearing a little bit of each collection out of whatever you end up getting. So that's going to be something in which they rebalance how this is given, so that you hopefully can, once again, new collections coming out, chip away at different things and not necessarily be stuck to maybe 3 or 4 of, say, 8 or 9 collections that end up being released. So a little bit more minor compared to some of the other things, but definitely a nice and well-warranted change. Next up is new special orders. They're going to be returning with some weapons in rotation. So if you guys have not completed your ones that you may have active, like myself, I haven't completed the heroic weapon bribe. I should probably do that as soon as possible, but it seems like they're going to be adding in some weapons that really, for whatever reason, were only available in common supply drops. And as you guys know, common supply drops don't give you the best items out of the loot pool, so it was really hard to get these, but they're now being thrown into the rotation for special orders. Next thing up is new categories of items, and this is where I'm gonna have some fun breaking this down for you guys, because there is a lot of stuff included in this one, though it might not be a huge talking point of this update that we ended up getting from Sledgehammer. So new categories of items, you think about maybe, say, compartmentalizing each individual uniform into boots, gloves, jackets, pants, whatever it may be, like we saw with Advanced Warfare. And actually, fun fact, that stuff is actually in the code as such, but right now we don't see anything that is going to be going that way. A lot of people thought that maybe this update would change it so you can get individualized items like that, but right now we don't see anything too much like that. But instead, the new categories of items are actually going to be dealing with weapon charms, camos, and reticles. So two things that I'm not really too concerned about are the weapon charms and the reticles, because the weapon charms are exactly like what we saw in Infinite Warfare. Cool little customization items. We also saw it in a little bit of the prestige items in some of the games we saw previously as well. And the reticles, well, that's just custom reticles, which again might dilute the loot pool a little bit, but is kind of cool to see, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it really comes down to what you think. The big thing though that I'm really interested in is camos, because we are now 4 months into the game and we're just now seeing DLC camos added in for the first time. So that said, I personally was not the biggest fan of the camos that we had for launch up until about the bronze camos and those camos that are then unlocked afterwards after you get those headshots and one shots down. Those first initial entry level camos, to me, just none of them did it for me. Now that said, even some of the other ones didn't do it all that much for me, but we ended up seeing around the launch of the game a massive leak of a bunch of different camos that were in the game code but not accessible via however we thought we'd get them. And that's something that really, for the time being, 4 months past, it's kind of crazy that we didn't see any of those, but now some of them may end up coming to World War II. The one that they ended up previewing in the actual blog post itself doesn't look like one of the ones that we saw out of that update and that little leak from the game files, but it does indicate that there are more coming on top of all of those. So hopefully we see some of those, but the one thing that I really hope does not happen is that we end up getting camos like how we had in Black Ops 3. I absolutely hated having weapon-specific camos in supply drops, because that, once again, again, dilutes the loot pool so much, and then not only are you only having a chance to get a camo you want, you also have to split that chance by 30 some weapons or whatever it may be in the game to get it on something that you had hoped to get it on to begin with, on a weapon you might not even use. So I'm hoping that it's something that you can unlock it overall, or maybe even Modern Warfare Remastered style. That is not my first choice, but again, it's not as bad as Black Ops 3, where you have it for an entire weapon classification like rifles or SMGs. So camos though, be on the lookout for those. They're gonna be coming, and that is something I am super excited for. The final thing I wanna talk about actually is something that is a new supply drop type that's gonna be coming, in which it's kind of interesting how it's worded, and I'm curious to see how practical it becomes, but that is something called Armory drops, in which they said they're gonna be adding in a brand new supply drop type called Armory drops that'll function a lot like bribes, but can be obtained for Armory credits to provide you with yet another way to get the content that you want a little bit further. So while you might say have to spend around 30,000 Armory credits to complete an SMG collection if there's gonna be new weapons added in for that price, you might be able to, say, spend 2,000 Armory credits and get a bribe, maybe like playing the RNG of each of the collection items you can end up getting, maybe something like that. So you have the chance of getting a weapon, or you have the chance of getting a uniform or something like that. I think that's a kind of cool way to do it, and a nice little way to maybe introduce another way you can end up getting things, maybe for a little bit cheaper, maybe for not, but we'll see once again how practically it actually can be translated into the full gameplay experience come tomorrow. So really excited to see how this kind of stuff shakes down, but that's our 9 things you want to talk to you guys about that were detailed here for this update. One additional thing, once again, kind of adding on to what we talked about previously, and with another image that was showcased in this update, are the weapons. We are going to have some new weapons added in tomorrow, and it seems like we're going to be having 2 of these already detailed to us. One being the MG81 from last week's update, but then the MAS or MAS-38, which is a French submachine gun. So we're seeing another SMG added in, it looks like. Whether or not it keeps that specific name in the game code and in the game menus is something we don't know of, but that is the real life counterpart that this soldier is holding in this image. So a lot of cool stuff on the horizon, once again changing a lot of the fundamentals and dynamics of how the supply drop system and content system overall will in fact hold up going further into the future. And again, we ended up also seeing that Shipment 1944 was added into the Call of Duty website, so that's something that might be the name of DLC 2, or potentially something that we see in terms of content being added in later on down the line. Personally, I'd be all for if they add in Shipment as a free map to everybody and kind of just drop that randomly. I'd be all for that, but again, that's where we're at right now with World War II. Update coming tomorrow, but this gives us a nice look in at what we can expect for tomorrow. So that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this was insightful in some way, shape, or form. Love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. There's a lot of stuff that I think we can talk about and make a discussion here out of this. So what do you think about adding more weapons than ever with more updates coming forward compared to what we've seen previously? Do you like that? Do you hate it? Do you like that we're going to be getting more special orders, more supply drop types in the way of Armory drops? Whatever it may be, anything we talked about is on the table. Let me know your thoughts. Love to get your thoughts on it all down there in the comment section. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty World War II. Hopefully I have some stuff up on time tomorrow, but we're gonna be very busy tomorrow, not only with my college schedule, which unfortunately conflicts with like every update, but we'll be keeping you guys up to date with everything that we can here tomorrow. So make sure you stick it right here on the channel if you guys are interested. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram, trying to get a little more active over there as well. So that link is as well in the description. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys are on a fantastic day. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.